Good morning, everyone, and a big thank you to my friend Blaine Bartlett for always being here bright and early. And on the West Coast, I can see he's in his office with compassionate capitalism behind you. How are you, Blaine?
I'm doing well this morning, David. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Is it true that you're coming in for the TV version of Office Hours?
Yep, I'll fly in tomorrow morning and be with you and the crew all day tomorrow.
Yeah, it's been incredible. We've come a long way as we come on 500 episodes digitally, and we were on the last 6 episodes here for season 4. So it's things aggregate, accelerate, and compound. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, nothing I think illustrates the entrepreneurial journey more than learning a language. And that's why I brought on Andy Healy. He's the managing director of TEFL, and that's teaching English as a foreign language. And that's TEFL.org. Welcome to Office Hours, Andy.
Thank you, David. It's great to be here. I'm excited to be chatting to you guys.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you because, AI is changing the face of translation and language. And I've made the point several different times that, but for the fact that learning a language teaches the most important, to me, characteristic of being successful, especially as an entrepreneur, the actual translation portion of learning another language will be facilitated by AI. There's no doubt that your iPhones, you'll click a button, press Mandarin, and I'll have a conversation. My voice in my actual vibration to my tonation and connotation will translate into Mandarin, and the person speaking Mandarin will absolutely be able to translate back into English. But what people are missing is that languages, when they're learned, it teaches you the 3 characteristics of energy. And that's why 2 minutes a day is worth more than 2 hours in a Saturday. Very, very powerful coaching lesson in entrepreneurship. I don't think there's any better illustration than language. You are the expert at this. How important is it to participate in language every single day without missing a day? And what difference does it make compared to someone that studies it for 4 hours on Saturday?
That's such a good point. Yeah, I think it's because mentally we layer up those experiences of learning, and the more that we do it, clearly the more that we're going to absorb, and the more that we practice, the more that it becomes part of our everyday life. And I've learned languages before where I did French at school, and you get to a certain level and then you kind of drop it, and unless you're immersed in the language, it doesn't stick. And you do have to keep on refreshing, and you keep on sort of giving yourself the opportunity to practice, but you do have to work on it. And I think it's really important to have that focus, because you're absolutely right in terms of the importance of language within our world and within communication. It's obviously hugely important. And for us, teaching English as a foreign language, or what they would call in the States is more commonly known as TESOL, so teaching English to speakers of other languages. But they're the same thing, the same product. And it's really about how do we allow people the opportunities to communicate with essentially with their local community. And for example, in California, I think the last stat I saw that there was around 40% of people don't speak English at home. So, there's an incredibly interesting element of high demand there, because to integrate into society, to get a job, to go to the shops, to do anything, you need to cross that language barrier. And worldwide, there are something like 1.5 billion English learners worldwide, and it's still the international language for business. So you've got these really interesting sort of elements that are helping to give us a job in our line of work.
I love the idea of, and David, you mentioned this, of immersion as the modality by which I actually learn the language structure as well as grammar. Yeah, I remember when I was going to school in the Netherlands at the university. The agreement I had with my Dutch roommates was that we would speak Dutch in the room, and I didn't speak Dutch at all. And Dutch isn't a real big, second language option for a whole lot of people. That being said, it was the immersion. There was about 6 months, and I noticed. I woke up one morning and I had been dreaming in Dutch. I wasn't dreaming English, translating into Dutch and then going, oh, that's what that meant. All of a sudden, it was like a switch had been flipped. And I attribute that to the immersion process, the plasticity of the brain, being able to forge new pathways. And now I had a language. And so that process. Now, here's the question that I have for you on this, Andy. In that immersion process, it's one thing to learn grammar, syntax, and vocabulary. But I have experienced that, it was actually in the switch into dreaming in a foreign language that I started appreciating the culture much more. And that was an unexpected shift and an unexpected gift, actually. How much of your teaching, with the classroom work and the online work actually facilitates deliberately a cultural awareness? And I know English is, what culture are we talking about? But is there any element of that in what it is that your program actually works with?
Yeah, it's a good point, because for us, we teach teachers to go out into the world and to teach English, and for them to be able to engage their students, you have to use what's around you. So if you're in South Korea teaching a bunch of children and you're trying to get them engaged in understanding the English language, then you have to of course show them parts of your culture, and that can be carnivals, events, literature, music, things that will resonate with them, because they maybe they've heard of Man United Football Club and David Beckham, or they've heard of the Queen or the royalty, or Harry and Meghan. These sorts of things allow you to essentially engage them, and then you get the opportunity to teach. And similarly, we'll bring on board anything that's from their surrounding culture that will allow them to just be interested, because the first thing about when you immerse yourself in a language, the first thing that we need as teachers is for the students to be engaged. That's it. Without that, then it's just a brick wall, and nobody learns anything.
Yeah, which is that immersion. It needs to be complementary. But I trivialized the idea of learning a language by utilizing an example of being on the phone, and obviously there's still a great need to learn languages, and predominantly English, if you want to get, as Blaine suggests, the biggest bang for your buck. Learning English seems to have the greatest use around the world, more than Dutch or Hebrew or some other languages. More importantly, though, technology does play an integral role. And I've been studying the use of technology since a big part of my background from Web 1 to 2.5 and 3 is in technology. And the best way that I can describe this is that technology is a wonderful servant and a terrible leader. And I think this language aspect of technology being a great servant to language, but a horrible leader, will strengthen the position of your company and others that know how to teach. Because obviously a teacher is an intelligent follower is an extremely good leader. In this field of translation, empowerment, teaching, etc., how important is it to utilize technology? And do you agree with me that it is still just a servant of the language, not a leader of the language?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, because it's a facilitator. It's and where we use it positively, then it becomes an accelerator. And for us, that is hugely important because we're an online business, and our courses, you can complete them. They're self-paced, they're online. So it doesn't matter where you are around the world, you can access them whenever you want. And so on the fundamental level, our platforms, our tech platforms have to be top notch. We have to have them very slick, and they have to be at the forefront of what's available in terms of online learning platforms. But then we also have to be really aware of accessibility. So people who have certain challenges with reading or writing, or for example, if you can't see colors properly, you might enter a course and you might have to hit a red button, and for somebody who can't see colors, they don't know that that's the red button. And these are all the kind of intricacies and the nuances of creating an online learning platform that we have to be at the forefront of, because we want everybody to have that chance. So yeah, I think technology is hugely important to us, and it's not just the platforms, it's the marketing as well. Making sure that our message is getting out there loud and clear. And I hope that we're doing a fairly good job of it, but we can always do better. But just talking about the courses themselves, the material has to be really engaging. So tying those things together, and that doesn't stop evolving. Whether it's an interactive quiz or sort of an animation, these are things that we have to utilize to again engage our students.
To that point, the idea, and I'm going to stay connected here to this immersion and engagement thing or theme. Emotional engagement is, for me, predicate to just about anything that I do in my life. If I want to be productive and successful, I have to be emotionally engaged. I mean, it affects the vibrational frequency and just everything else that kind of comes with that. And emotional engagement oftentimes is kind of created, or at least facilitated, with some aspect of familiarity with the environment and that sort of thing. So in the teaching, I mean, I know you're teaching teachers to teach this, English as a foreign language. How much on the online course is it actually tailored to? You mentioned South Korea as an example. How much of your process, your program, your materials is actually tailored in a way that it resonates with local sensibilities, where they can kind of go, it's not a generic play on things. It's just kind of, this is actually where I'm actually going to be engaging. Do you tailor it to that degree?
To a certain extent, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things which is at the same time very accessible and flexible, and anybody can do it, as well as you have to be able to speak English in order to teach it. So you have to have fluency. So that is the kind of really the only barrier to entry. In terms of engaging, students, it's really down to how good that teacher is and right, where they're placed, and utilizing perhaps the language school that they go to, because they'll have tried and tested methods about how you bring these students on. So I think that is, that's a really interesting way of us being able to help our students. For me, trying to get the message out about TEFL is really about showing how there's an opportunity for people to explore the world and to find that freedom. And I think you get the certificate, it doesn't cost a huge amount, it's fairly affordable for our big audiences of graduates and career changers and people who are retiring. So it is accessible, it's affordable, and also it's really worthwhile. So to your point about being in the classroom and what that means, when you see people make that progress, that's the bit that hooks you, the bit where you're emotionally involved. And you say, we do some work with sort of refugees, and seeing some of our classes kind of light up when they finally get a piece of language and they understand it and they move from A to B. And that I think is incredibly rewarding and not to be forgotten.
Excellent.
It's amazing. Well, Andy Healy, keep empowering the world. One of the great unifiers of all countries in the world is language. So much gets lost because we don't understand or can't communicate, and therefore fear pervades the lack of communication. And so what you do is so important to teach teachers and others, to empower others to speak and communicate effectively. Managing Director of TEFL, TEFL.org, Andy Healy, thank you for everything that you do. Come back and visit us soon.
Thanks, guys. It was really great to speak to you. Thanks for having me on.
Keep doing what you're
Thanks,
doing.
Andy.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good.
All right. There's so many, the riches are in the niches. They just thousands of people they impact. And imagine even 1,000 teachers, what impact empowering 1,000 people. And that's always been my mission, just in happiness, is to find 1,000 people to empower 1,000, to empower 1,000. And we have our next guest up early, and she definitely is much more prepared than we are at 5 a.m. here on the West Coast. Jessica Weaver, the CEO of Women's Wealth Boutique. Welcome to Office Hours.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me on here. I've been up for a little bit. I'm East Coast, so I got my kids off to school, meditated, worked out, so I got a few hours in.
Well, the day's off to a great start already, and I haven't even had my coffee yet.
This would go.
Well, you have a great balance, a weighted balance in your life. And, one of the things that Blaine and I talk about is prosperity and wealth and the power of money. My mission and motto is to make a lot of money, to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. You wrote a book, Confessions of a Money Queen, and giving pragmatically 10 money moves to calm your power and claim your power and prosperity. It's easy for you to say, but I think a lot of people, and you touched on it earlier. You said, I got my kids off to school, and part of power and prosperity is to be able to create abundance while still empowering and having non-negotiables that are so important, like our health and our families. And this weighted balance is certainly more difficult for most women than it is for men, just because of historically the socioeconomic pressures that are put on a family, especially in America, fall on the moms. And I think what you talk about and how you talk about it with power, purpose, and peace is so important. Let's start at the very beginning. I think your definition of prosperity is very important to understand the different money moves that claims this power and prosperity.
Yes, it's kind of like our version of success. Everybody's version of success is going to be different. Everybody's version of wealth is going to be different, whether it's the amount of money in your bank account or just never feeling like you're living paycheck to paycheck anymore. And that's what I love talking about prosperity, because it can go in so many different forms, and even abundance. I think our society is so focused on abundance just monetarily and the money and feeling abundant there. But we know, as you start to dive into the world of learning more about abundance, it's your time, right? Our most precious resource is time. How can we feel more abundant with time? How can we realize we are creator of time, and we can shrink time, we can expand time? And you even started off the show talking about playing more, having more fun. And that's what I want all of the women that we work with, is to have more fun with their money, to not feel so much pressure with it. Because we know once we feel that pressure, it's going to make us fear-based. It's going to make us feel scarcity with money. And especially that we're running out of time. We're playing catch up. We're trying to get more money. It's too late, or I'm barely making it as it is. Things like that. So I think for everybody, prosperity is different. And that's the most important piece, is to identify, what does prosperity mean to you now, or even for myself, what the Jessica a year from now, what does prosperity look like? And for that to keep growing and evolving with you.
Yeah, it's interesting, the four languages of love, or they forgot one, which to me is time. So time to me is the language of love, and I'm so happy that you brought that up in the context of prosperity. One of my mentors of time, and set me off on a terrible rabbit hole for the rest of my life, is Blaine Bartlett. He's a master of time in different realms: conscious, subconscious, unconscious, physics, metaphysics, quantum physics. So, Blaine, if there was ever a softball thrown up to you, can you knock it out of the park for me?
Let's hear it, Blaine.
Oh, dear.
No
Well,
pressure. No pressure.
Gonna get my
Yeah,
notebook, my pen ready.
Yeah, you should. You should. I got
yeah,
mine.
time. Don't have enough time. Not enough time. There's a deadline. The language that we use around time, and I was struck by the comment that you made just a moment ago, Jessica, about fear. And fear is such a contractive energy. It's just, anytime that there's not enough, the body goes physiologically, you go into, oh my God, I'm going to die. I mean, literally, that's the equivalent of it. When people feel as if they're running out of time. And I really do appreciate the way that you're talking here about prosperity, not just money, because most people will default to money when they think of prosperity. The idea of time. How do you work with your clients or what's in the book? Because I haven't read the book yet. I'll just cop to that. I'm looking forward to seeing it. But how do you actually link an abundance of time to an abundance of prosperity, to an abundance of money? I mean, there's a thread here that kind of runs through it. And I don't think you can separate them well. Most people do have them separate in their mind, but they are all bespoke. It's all part of the same piece of fabric here. How do you actually work with that in the book?
Oh, that's a good question, Blaine. And you're right, they are all connected. And that's what I love about Confessions of a Money Queen. Just a little background. I wrote this book in a week. So this was my third best-selling book. I wrote this book in a week. So I feel it was a direct download from God. It was a direct download from the divine.
It doesn't have to take a lot of time to write a book.
Yeah, it came to me. It flowed right through me. And after I wrote the book, it played out in real life, which was really neat. It's what started the Women's Wealth Boutique. It's what made me step out from behind the scenes. I left my father's firm, started something of my own, and then we've brought 5 women advisors with me. Since then, we have a waiting list of 10 female advisors to join us. I mean, it's just flowing, and we're playing in this very abundant space right now, which feels amazing. But we talk about in the book, if you feel scarce on any piece of your life, it's going to affect your money. So if you feel you don't have enough time, then no matter what, you're going to feel like you don't have enough money. Right? I don't have enough time, so I don't have enough time to make enough money. And there's that ripple effect no matter what. So a lot of the work we do in most meetings, events, we start with a meditation or some sort of grounding exercise to immediately shift from that stress, the overwhelm, the anxiety into a meditative state or a state of gratitude, anything that can slow the momentum of that fear, the scarcity, and what can we do to shift into abundance right away. And looking at where do we feel tight? Where do we feel really stressed? And when that happens, we tend to try to control things. And I feel once you try to control things, you're holding on too tight, we're too attached. And that, sorry, I guess my voice hasn't warmed up yet this morning.
That's fine.
But once we feel tight, we stop that flow of money. So we do this work, we bring a lot of awareness. I think that's the first stage, is just understanding how it works and then bringing awareness into your daily life. And you can catch it very quickly then and shift into gratitude, or even a 3-5 minute meditation, some journal work to move through it pretty quickly instead of letting it linger. And we know this, like I was just writing a blog about this the other day. My kids have been sick for probably about 5 weeks straight, stomach bugs, COVID, fever, viruses, nonstop. And all of a sudden, when you have one series of bad events, it spurs a lot of series of bad events and consequences, because that's what we're focusing on. I'm focusing on my kids being sick, and then that brings on more sicknesses, more illnesses, and so on. Yeah. So how can we stop that spiral quicker?
Yeah. Interrupt the pattern. Yeah. Interrupt the pattern. And yeah, just real quick, I want to continue this piece here. The idea of it's already happened, I just haven't arrived.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's already happened, I just haven't arrived. That for me has taken any fear associated with not enough time, not enough money, It's already here. I just haven't gotten to it yet. It's Then the focus becomes on where it needs to be. Energy follows intention. So, and attention. So I want to look at, okay, from an awareness perspective, where's the spirit that moves to and through me is an abundant spirit. It's always moving to and through me. Awareness for me has to do with noticing where's the pinch point. Where's that access to that awareness, that spirit blocked or open? And then if it's blocked, what do I need to do about it? And it's a noticing piece. Just notice. But it's predicated on it's already happened. I just haven't arrived. So how can I open up the channel more effectively?
Yes.
Is that a fair assessment about some of the ways that you would think about working with somebody?
Exactly. You had so many good quotes in there. So many good quick tips on that. Yes, opening up the channel, catching it and shifting out of it quicker. And especially in the financial industry, I've been an advisor for 13 years now, but I grew up in the industry and my father's been one for 40 years. It's a very fear-based industry.
It is.
Right. The regulators and the broker dealers, the advisors, and it's all getting projected onto the clients, the investors. And that's what we're really trying to change, that conversation, instead of you have to do this or you're going to run out of money. And let's look at money in a very different perspective, and having these different grounding exercises, especially after last year. Last year was a rough year. Bonds, stocks, inflation, unemployment, everything. It was a very challenging year. But I heard from our clients a lot, even just going through our meditations, blogs, our podcasts, Women Behind the Millions Out, those extra tools and resources help them stay more grounded. And we had a lot less stressed out clients than we've had in the past. So implementing it, we're seeing huge changes with our clients and the people in our world. And then our investors, because we take on a lot of our clients' emotions and those fears and scarcity. So training our advisors to have this protective wall up around them, their own energy, so that they don't feel drained by the end of the day, or now they're taking on their clients' fears, emotions, stress as well, has been a huge change for us.
Yeah, another simple way to look at it is I am healthy, I am happy, I am wealthy, I am worthy. Let's figure out what we're doing to interfere with it. And doing so much work in financial literacy, working with so many financial advisors, shifting that paradigm, as Blaine stated, to it's already done. What am I doing to interfere with it? And then that idea of attention plus intention equals the coincidences. I find it really interesting how you interplay gratitude, interplay meditation into probably one of the most, besides being a lawyer, one of the most scarce industries, because it deals with the world of not enough, that people see money as a limited resource. But if that's not bad enough, most financial advisors have to intertwine your existence. Death plays such an important role.
Oh, sure.
In wealth. So you're dealing with two of the biggest fears of scarcity, or what I call interference, and I spell interference with an F-E-A-R. But money is an energy, behavior is an energy, and all energies at its highest form are simple. And you talk about money's not that complicated. It's not that complicated to make and obtain, and it's not that complicated to keep. We interfere and make it complicated in those 10 money moves that claim. What is the first move that people can make so you can get them started, and then they can come buy the book at the Women's Wealth Boutique.com or Amazon, doesn't matter. Just reach out. But what's that first move that they can make? Because I have another simple nugget for you. 0 to 1 takes as much time as 1 to 100. So I want people to get from 0 to 1.
Yeah, it's true, David. I was just speaking at a conference down in Dallas, Texas, and it was 500 advisors in the room. And it's such a traditional industry. Like you said, attorneys and advisors we're probably the last to adapt. We're still wearing the business suits, everything. But I brought them through a meditation to start with. And afterwards, I go, I've never been to a financial conference where we've meditated before. But what a breath of fresh air it felt to not just being talked down to, or like you said, talking about all the fears, the issues people are having, but to just start in an abundant state was huge for them. So for me, we really work on 3 pillars. There's that spiritual alignment that we start with when we're working with our clients, our advisors. That opens up this more creative flow because we have so many stories pre-programmed into our brains, into our subconscious, that we tend to ignore. We have blinders on these opportunities that are present, or these big dreams that we thought it's never going to happen. I don't have enough time to do that. I don't have enough energy, enough money to do that. So that opens up the creative flow. And then we get to the practical side, the last pillar of, now we do have money flowing into our lives. How do we optimize this money? How do we best use this money to bring you up to that next level and to continue those levels again and again with it? So the first step, really talking about these money moves, and that's what Confessions of a Money Queen is. It's just a step-by-step instruction manual to reprogram our mindset, our subconscious, open ourselves up to alignment, to receiving more time, more money, more abundance in all areas of our lives. And then how to use these other money moves to open up the right homes for our money, the right buckets to filter that money into our world. So I would say, think about those top 3 to 5 goals that you have in your life, right? I just was watching a video on, you should write down 300 things that you are asking God for. 300 things. Do not stop until you get 300 things. And that tends to be pretty hard. That is very hard to do. But we don't, unless we write them down, we're not going to even acknowledge that these miracles are happening every single day in our life. All right. So write down your top 3 to 5 things that you want to do. Goals. It could be financial. It could be personal. Set up buckets to actually save money for those goals, and then align it with the right investments. But whenever you have a negative thought about why you can't have that or why it's going to be too hard, well, that's when you need to do some healing work in your subconscious, or reprogramming those beliefs. As you said before, David, I am, right? Those powerful I am statements to shift into I am abundance, I am worthy, I am enough. Feel into those emotions and start a daily money practice where you are putting some attention and time into healing your old money trauma, opening yourself up to what abundance could feel like, even if it's 10, 15 minutes. I do an hour of this every morning. It's usually what I'm doing right now, actually. I meditate for about 15, 20 minutes. I do some journal work. I'm listening to different guides, different people that I follow and admire, or I'm reading something new that's going to inspire me for the day. So adding in that daily money practice, I would say that's completely changed my life. It's changed our advisor's life. It's what we bring to our clients now. Start there. Add in some daily money practice.
I love it. There's many moves we can make to claim power and prosperity. The easy way to do it is to join Jessica Weaver. Check out Confessions of a Money Queen, 10 money moves to claim your power and prosperity. Thank you so much, Jessica, for changing the mindset, heart set, and handset around money, wealth, prosperity, and power. That is absolutely a great formula for happiness. So we appreciate you. Join us on other shows. Everybody go to womenswealthboutique.com or Amazon, pick up the book. It'll change your life. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
You got it.
Great meeting you, Jessica.
Yeah, it's great to meet you too. Have a great rest of your day. Great rest of your show. Thank you again.
Thank you. Like a beam of sunshine in a beautiful yellow blazer, just lighting up here in the early morning. We appreciate everyone. Blaine, as always, I'm always looking for the wisdom, the light, the love, the lessons, the nuggets, and the unbelievable guests that our team have gotten us. We're taking just a couple because, as you know, we're filming here in Las Vegas. And so anybody wants to swing by today or tomorrow, Blaine will be there tomorrow. So probably even a better day to swing by. We're right in the lobby of the Wynn by the buffet across from the Terrace Cafe. You can't miss us. There's right there in the lobby, but come see us. Blaine, what are your takeaway of the day here?
Yeah, the takeaway of the day, I think, has to do with emotional engagement. Yeah, just the repetition. Yeah, I don't do anything well unless I'm actually emotionally connected to it. whether it's making money or learning a language. And I'll just kind of put it in those two buckets today. Taking the time, and literally taking the time to appreciate, what's here. How do I emotionally engage in it? And the notion that I mentioned about it's already happened, I just haven't arrived yet, that puts it in present tense language. And language, I'm kind of marry the two guests today here. Language creates reality. Yeah, it both reflects, but it also creates reality. So I start thinking as if it's an abundant world. I start thinking as if I have an abundance of time. I start thinking of I am an English speaker. You bring it home, and that's where emotional engagement begins. Yeah, when I bring it home, it's actually in me. It's not out there somewhere that I need to go get it. So just practicing that, how do I become emotionally engaged with what it is that I'm actually doing? Yeah, and run with that.
I love it. Well, mine's closely tied to that because emotion is energy, emotion, and language is energy, emotion, and behaviors are energy, emotion, and money is energy in motion as well. And my takeaway are there's these three characteristics of energy that the human capability denies, and it causes resistance, as you state. We've already arrived, or I say I am. What am I doing to interfere with it? It's in the context of one, energy, whether it's language or money or emotion, it aggregates on itself. Jessica was talking about, paying attention and giving intention to dis-ease of her children, and it created more dis-ease.
Yeah.
And so energy aggregates. So if you put your money in certain buckets, it's going to aggregate. But beyond attracting like energy or aggregation, it also compounds. So interesting in the cellular sense of energy, and it compounds. Cellular positivity, progress, behaviors compound, money, emotion, all compound, and that compounding gives us an exponential result. But even greater than the aggregation and compounding of the energy is that it accelerates. So the physics of energy is that as it aggregates and compounds upon itself by the consistent, persistent pursuit of the behavior, the money, the emotion, the language, it also accelerates. So the outcomes are not only bigger and better through the aggregation and compounding, but they come faster because of the acceleration. That's my takeaway of the day. Andy Healy, Jessica Weaver, and most importantly, my best buddy, Double B, Blaine Bartlett, BlaineBartlett.com. He's flying in all the way, and it's not easy to get here for Blaine. He has to take planes, trains, and automobiles to get in a ferry, maybe even as well, to get to us in Las Vegas. I know we have, as you know, the most extraordinary guests here on the digital show, but we even take it up a notch on the TV show.
Yeah.
You'll be blown away, as I am. We are packed full with a waiting list of the world's greatest thought leaders, billionaires, millionaires, entrepreneurs, celebrities, athletes, and entertainers joining us at the Wynn Hotel today and tomorrow with Blaine Bartlett and I. Come and see us. And Blaine, I am so grateful for you and almost 500 episodes of this and so many episodes of the TV show. Thank you. Send my love to your gorgeous wife, and I will see you soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow morning.
You got it, man. Let's do it.
All right. Okay, buddy.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Blaine Bartlett, thank you so much. Luca, you're leaving Blaine hanging. The only thing I miss about Matt Mendoza, he's my own producer, is like he actually didn't leave people hanging there in that awkward pause. So Matt Mendoza, if you're listening out there, there is one thing I miss about you, and that's the quick draw that you have of making sure that we have these smooth transitions instead of awkward ones. I appreciate you, Matt Mendoza, but more than Matt Mendoza, I appreciate Raluca, who's here early producing the show. And I know for most human beings, not me or Blaine, it's extremely difficult to wake up at 4:30 to get to these shows. So thank you, Raluca. Thank you, everyone. Come see us at the Wynn. If you want to book, reach out to me. If it's free, it's me. just email me, david@dmeltzer.com. It's right there. Oops, there. David@dmeltzer.com. Be happy. Be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We'll see you later. Thank you, everyone.